video. What is up, my dudes? I'm back with another video. I'm not really going to be playing this much today, but I wanted to get into a discussion that a lot of people have an issue with Mario and Luigi Brothership. The music. Now, why would they have an issue with this? The issue comes from the fact that the older games had much grandeur and music that was really, it just felt more like impactful. Now, of course, me personally, it doesn't really bother me if it's more like impactful or anything. Like, personally, it doesn't really bother me. But it does for some people. An example, for me personally, I'll get to an even bigger example later, but for an example for me is an example for me is partners in sorry, I just accidentally spit a bit. Sorry about that. Back to what I was saying is that it's a big example is Partners in Time. Now, most people don't. Now, I have a friend who doesn't really like the final boss theme for the Shrouzer fight, because it's not really impressive, was his words. It wasn't as good as some of the older games, or some of the other themes in the game. Now, I mean, I can see what he means. It's very basic and all that, and I mean, I get why he would prefer the other themes. The other themes are a lot more impactful. They have a lot more beats to them, and they sound a lot more better. But this is my thing, is that it doesn't really bother me if it's more impactful. That final boss theme for Shrouzer, it's honest to God one of my favorite themes in the game. Yeah, it's really basic. I get what he means. But for me, personally, it's one of my favorite themes in the entire game, personally. And it has been since I was like freaking 12 years old. It's been over 10 years, and it's still one of my favorite themes in the game. And stuff. And it's been one of my favorite themes, actually, since before I was 12, actually. Actually, no. I think it has been around that time, since I was like 12 years old, and I'm 25 now. So, it's still one of my favorite themes in the entire game. Even though it is really basic, I get what he means. And another friend of mine, who I used to watch play Mario and Puzzles and Dragons, also said the exact same thing about that theme. It was one of his favorite themes in the entire game, and I thought it was really ironic that both of us had the same exact theme. And literally, I'm not kidding, both of us would literally go onto YouTube and actually binge listen to the theme. I remember him talking about that, and I'm like, dude, I did the same thing. I thought that was really ironic. Now, for a bigger example, Mario and Luigi Brothership. There were a ton of people who thought that the themes were a lot less impactful and stuff, and where does my opinion come into this? Well, it comes into the very first battle theme that I had heard. Now, of course, your boy knew from the very beginning that the main person would not be in charge of the music. Mainly Hiyoko Shimamura, I knew from the very beginning that, hey, this is a new team doing this game. I knew that it was going to be very different. And where does my opinion come into this? The first battle theme that I had heard from one of the trailers from the game, I remember even posting about this on Instagram, because I couldn't really, I wanted to spoil some other stuff of the game, but I wasn't allowed to. But it gets into the very first battle theme of the game, and the second that I had heard this theme, I'm like, dude, this sounds really, really effing good. It sounds like one of the best main battle themes. The main battle themes in this series. Just from like 3 seconds of listening to it, I'm like, dude, I don't give a crap if this is a different team doing the music. This sounds, honest to God, one of the best main battle themes in the entire series so far. And this is only 3 seconds of me hearing this theme, by the way. Which is just insane. It just goes to show you that I don't really care if it's like a new team. I don't care if it's not as impactful as before. The only time that I will ever compare music to the original music is if it's like a remade theme, or if it's like if they add like a music, like a remade theme, a new theme to a particular boss fight, and then they don't add it for like the refight. Basically, Dark Star X from the remake of Inside Story. That is the only time that I will ever really be like upset. Like, hey, this is a really, really good theme that they actually added for the remake. Because like the remake is really, really, really good. And they didn't add it for his X form in the remake, which basically everyone was upset about that. That is the only time that I will ever like compare, like, hey, this really, really kick-ass theme was for the remake. Why don't they add it for the X fight? It really, really seems really, really, really lame. And that is the only time that I will ever compare, like, to the OG, to like really, really, impactful, themes, or any other themes, verbatim, basically. That is like the only time that I will ever really compare, like, those themes to the originals. Unless it's like really, really, really good themes that I really, really prefer. The Mickey's Magical Quest comes up instantly. I am one of those people, side note, I'm one of those, ignore my dog, by the way. I'm one of those people who adores the original themes from the original Mickey's Magical Quest, a lot more than for the sequels. I basically don't even really enjoy the sequel's music nearly as much as the original. Now, part of it is biased because I grew up with that particular game. I grew up with the original, and I just don't really think the other themes from the series in the newer games are as good. But I don't know. It's just, personally for me, I think the original did the themes a lot better, and they're just better in my opinion. And that is mainly where people go into Brothership. That's what they think with Brothership, and I can totally see what they mean. I see why they would adore the other themes, the older themes, better. It's just, for me, in Mario and Luigi in particular, I think the music just keeps getting better and better for each game, including for her Brothership. Brothership has some of my favorite themes in the entire series. And the biggest example I can come up with is Reclusa's final boss theme. There were legions of people who were like, hey, this theme is really, really kind of lame compared to the originals. It's not as impactful. It's not... I had some people saying that it wasn't... that the stakes didn't really fit for the final boss, which, I mean, I don't see that at all. I think it really fits for the final boss. It fits for the stakes. It fits for the fight itself. And it is better than any of the other ones, in my opinion. And again, I don't really care if it's less impactful. It just... ever since I was spoiled about it, yes, I was spoiled about it, like, weeks before the game came out. I'm that kind of guy. I don't really care about spoilers. I am one of those people that just really enjoyed it. Even from the first time that I listened to it, I'm like, okay, it may be less impactful, but it's really good. Actually, I really enjoyed it. It was a really good theme, and it's one of my favorite themes in the Mario franchise entirely. Mind you, I will yell that into the mic. It's that good of a theme, in my opinion. And one of my other friends who got spoiled about it, needless to say, neither of us really care about spoilers, and stuff. I will just not spoil stuff if, like, you're, like, a person who really doesn't like spoilers. I am one of those people who will respect that and not spoil it for those types of people. Because if you go out there and spoil stuff for people who don't want to be spoiled, that's just kind of a dick move, and you're kind of a just not really respectful individual off topic, basically. So I'm one of those people that just respects that, and I won't go out of my way to spoil it for those particular people. If you want it spoiled, I don't care. I will spoil it, like the Kirby in the Forgotten Land final boss. I spoiled that around like 2 days early before the game even released. Spoiler alert. And there were legions of people who were just who actually respected that. He really there were discussions and everything. But back on topic, the music for me is, in my opinion, it just depends on the series. It depends on the music. It depends on me comparing it to the original sometimes. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. It just depends if I prefer the original, or it depends if I prefer the newer games. And yeah, again, I totally respect those people who enjoy the original themes more. I get that it's less impactful. I get that they enjoyed, that they think that the older themes are better. It just depends on the person. I have other friends who compare it to the originals because it's more impactful than brotherships, and I respect that. It's just, for me personally, I don't do that. Personally for me, unless it's like, it just depends on the series if I will. It depends if it's a really good theme and they take that theme away, or if it's a really good theme that I don't think stacks up to the originals. That is the only time that I will ever compare to the originals. And if it's like a remade music, I had friends who complained about the Superstar Saga remake, which I don't have an issue with it. I just don't have an issue with it. It didn't bother me and all that, but it's going on 14 minutes, and I'm sure you get the point, so I will end the video here, guys. It just depends on the person, and stuff, but until next time, peace out, guys.